Sure. Good evening, everyone present here, honorable guests, professors, participants, and fellow team members. I, 𝐕𝐚𝐥𝐞𝐫𝐲, on behalf of the Campus Law Center, would like to thank you all for joining us for the valedictory ceremony of the National Virtual Seminar on Affordable Shelter for Women and Children in Delhi. It is an honor and delight to host the valedictory ceremony. We honestly believe that participants would have immensely benefited from their paper presentations, and they would have exchanged the ideas on various topics and themes of today's competition. The picture of India that emerges today is of a great nation where the family comes first, and for families having their own houses, perhaps we term as shelter, is the biggest endeavor in their lifetime. But the margin and availability and affordability of such shelters need to be carefully watched. So far as the categorically division, wherein we say the homeless children and women are far behind looking at the aspect of affordability and availability of night shelters. As per the report of Delhi Urban Shelter Improvement Board, they have shifted 8,469 homeless to the nearest shelter homes since 30th of October 2021 till date. And the media report shows that the number of homeless people in Delhi perhaps is fourth-fold to the numbers shown by the concerned authorities. This is the basic aim that this project research is looking at, the loopholes of the policies wherein law and the governance and the public policy can inculcate the ideas and bring a legal platform with the policies to provide the affordable night shelters to homeless women and children. With the beginning of this session, I would take this moment to introduce the program director of the session, Dr. Anita Yadav ma'am. The program director of today's session, Dr. Anita Yadav, is currently working as an assistant professor of law at senior scale at Campus Law Center, University of Delhi. She has received various awards and scholarships over the course of her academic life. Recently, she received a scholarship to attend and present her paper in the International Law Association conference at Lisbon, Portugal. In 2018, she received the United Nations Asia and Pacific Regional Courts International Law Fellowship. Without any further ado, allow me to invite Dr. Anita Yadav ma'am to present the welcome address. Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you, 𝐕𝐚𝐥𝐞𝐫𝐲. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, very well.
Okay, so thank you for your kind words, 𝐕𝐚𝐥𝐶. A very good evening to everyone present here. I, Dr. Anita Yadav, as a program director of this seminar, welcome you all in this valedictory ceremony on behalf of Campus Law Center, University of Delhi, the Center for Environmental Law Education, Research and Advocacy, 𝐶ERA, at National Law School of India, University, Bangalore, and the Chair on Urban Poor and the Law, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. Friends, it is my great privilege to welcome today's chief guest who will be joining soon, Professor Dr. 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐿 sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor and Professor of Law, National Law University, Delhi. Our guest of honor, Professor Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Sharma ma'am, Director and Professor of Law at Faculty of Law, Manipal University, Jaipur. Our Professor Dr. Sairam Bhatsar, our special guest of this seminar, and my professor in charge, Professor Dr. 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐿 ma'am, the judges for the paper presentation segment of this seminar, and all the participants. Today, we have had the opportunity to further the discussion and deliberation on a very important topic that is affecting a significant portion of Indian society. It is the major issues with regard to the affordable shelter for women and children. While today's seminar was focused on this issue in Delhi, but I feel that this is an issue which every major city in India is currently experiencing. Millions of vulnerable women and children struggle to find a stable roof over their heads and thus expose themselves to further suffering in the form of malnutrition, violence, and exploitation. The objective of today's seminar was to create the awareness among all stakeholders about these important issues. And I'm very delighted to say that seminar was a resounding success in achieving its objectives. Credit for the same in a large part going to the participants and their well-researched papers. They brought forth interesting approaches and shed a light on their problem from a plethora of increasing angles, and in combination with the healthy interaction with the judges, helped in achieving the seminar objectives. One can only hope that this seminar, by bringing together all the stakeholders, including academia, practitioner, to provide a fertile starting point in steering the current discourse on affordable shelter in the current direction, one where the public and private sector can join the hand together to address this issue of the affordable shelter by transforming the rights available to the vulnerable section of the society. So with this small note, I welcome you all once again to this validatory session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your kind words, ma'am. And it has been an honor and a learning for experience for working with you and the team for the past 6 months on this project. We had so many learning developments throughout the research work. I again request you to please introduce our professor in charge, Professor Dr. Alka Chavla, ma'am, and welcome her in the valedictory ceremony.
Thank you, ma'am. So dear friend, it's my honor to introduce my professor in charge, Professor Dr. Alka Chavla, ma'am. Ma'am is also patron-in-chief of this seminar. So Professor Dr. Alka Chavla, ma'am, is one of the leading authority in copyright laws in IPR field. And I'm very glad to inform you, ma'am has been featured in the top 100 powerful women in the law list, which is released by World IP Forum in 2017 and also in 2021. Ma'am, we are very proud of you to have. So, ma'am, we welcome you in this validatory ceremony of this seminar.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Madhav, Mayank. You've all been here since morning. You know, just now Anita said powerful women. And suddenly it struck me that we are so powerless. Power being in the field of law is not the same as being a powerful citizen. You know, the topic which has been taken for today, that is shelter, roof on your heads. You come to Delhi, even without any statistics, those of you who have visited Delhi through films would see that, you know, there is this backside of Red Fort, which is there in most of the Delhi movies and which is also famous for a number of accidents having taken place, and also accidents by all the elite people, by all the rich people. And there have been situations when we know that the accident has been committed by someone and yet the person scots free. You visit that place and you will find Rain Basera is there, yet people are on the roads, they are on the pavements. And when they're on the roads and the pavements, it is not a social issue, it is not an economic issue, it is not simply an emotional issue. I think it's a psychological issue also. Without the shelter on your head and being depicted glamorously in movies is something which is just a contradiction. I think it's a time when we all have to think very, very seriously, as powerful, as powerless, as every individual of this country, as every citizen of this country, that we all need to do something. A very good evening to all of you. I know you must have heard about all this throughout the day. And my first of all, I should have actually started with these salutations. A good evening to our chief guest is still to, come. Professor Vijay Lakshmi Sharma, whom I can see here. She's the guest of honor. Professor Sairam Bhatt, who has been here since morning. That is why Anita has been calling him the mentor and the special guest for the entire show. A very good evening to all the paper presenters, to the judges, to the erudite faculty, to all our dear students for this valedictory ceremony. I would begin by saying that sincere appreciation and gratitude to all the participants who shared their views and discussed various ideas, which I think have made this seminar very, very fruitful. I was not there throughout the day because I had to go for some other engagement to a college nearby, but I've been asking Anita in between as to what is happening. This is the first time, with the help of young, very energetic faculty, Dr. Anita, that we have been able to collect all the academicians, social workers, experts, students on pan-India level through the paper presentation competition. And very soon, you will also be hearing the results, I think, for which you would be eagerly awaiting. I'm delighted that our members of the organizing committee, that is Anita, Madhav, and Mayank, we can see here, and the entire team which has been working behind the curtains. You know, we always see the heroes and the heroines on the face, but there are so many people who go into the making of the program. So all the hidden faces, my gratitude to you for working and yet, you know, not showing your faces to all of us. I thank all the honorable guests for being here throughout the day, all the people who are participating, faculty members, etc. So when Professor Sridhar Rao joins, then I will tell you something about him. But for the time being, God bless you, and we'll carry on with the valedictory session. Over to Mayank.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's always so mesmerizing to hear you. And being in the campus also, we have attended your classes as well. Always different perspectives from you makes us more motivated and committed to our profession. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like again to invite Anita ma'am to please introduce to us for today's guest of honor, Professor Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Sharma ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. So it's my great honor to introduce our guest of honor, Professor Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Sharma ma'am. So Professor Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Sharma ma'am is a professor of law and director at Faculty of Law, Manipal University, Jaipur. Ma'am has a very rich and versatile teaching experience over 19 years. She has awarded with the prestigious MUJ President Award on 26 January 2016 for her excellent performance in academics and guided several doctoral students. Ma'am has organized various legal awareness camps for a law student and society and is actively associated with various NGOs and organizations for the legal counseling. Her zeal, wisdom have established her as a face of School of Law and in turn has led to the organization of multiple events like visit of law student to Supreme Court, High Court, Juvenile Court and Session Court, Moot Court, etc. Ma'am has chaired several national and international seminars and has been vocal on several talk shows. She is also a legal advisor on the panel for a member of leading hospitals like EHCC Hospital, C.K. Birla Hospital, Narayana Heart Hospital, Jaipur and Manipal Integrated Services, Jaipur for Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace, and has been a part of various legal commitment in the mainstream industrial setup. Ma'am, thank you so much for gracing this occasion and taking out the time out of your busy schedule. I wholeheartedly welcome in this validity session.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Anita. So humble and so kind words actually you have addressed for me. So thank you so much. And first of all, I would like to thank Professor 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐲 madam. Thank you so much, ma'am. As I have heard you, you are really very rightly pointed out whether we are powerful or we are powerless. So this is something which is really need to rethink about the whole system of this country. So again, thank you so much for inviting me, Dr. Anita. And as Dr. Sairam Bhatt, namaskar sir, I have heard a lot about you because, you know, a number of events which has been made a great success because of you. So thank you so much, sir. Dr. Anita, very rightly, Dr. 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐲 madam has mentioned about you that you are very enthusiastic and energetic young faculty in Campus Law Center, Delhi. So this is something very, you know, remarkable event. The reason is, is it necessary that we are talking about the shelter or homeless women on this platform? I could gather the data or I can say the information which has been given by Maslow's theory. As you know about Maslow's theory, the basic need or societal need, what is it? the basic need is roti, kapda aur makan. And you know, Maslow says, because it is a very important theory of societal needs, and the basic need is shelter, air, food, these water, these are the basic need of the society. And after a very long time, this is very shameful thing for for our country that we are thinking about this particular point. But Dr. Anita, I must congratulate you that at least you can raise this point. And this is not an issue which is based in the Delhi only. Actually, in all over India, if we could see in all these states, actually we are facing these problems. Shelterless or homeless women, men, children, everybody is facing this particular, social evil. And the consequences of this thing is the women who are shelterless or homeless, actually they are treated as a very, what can I say? They don't have any right. And even they are treating by the public, even we all are treating them very negligently. You know why? Because whenever red light or something that we has to stop on the public road, suddenly some women came to you, and they will definitely, most of the women, what they are doing right now, if they are pregnant, if they are suffering from something, we will neglect them. The reason is, it might be possible, the reason is, or the problem is genuine. But most of the time, people are neglecting all the women or the children. But to whom we can address this? And to whom we can blame this? Who is the person or who is the ultimate authority to whom we can address this problem? I think this is the better platform, Dr. Anita. And I would love to know the results of this seminar. I think that you should raise this issue, as Madam has very rightly pointed out. Madam, you should definitely raise this issue to the authorities. Why all the people who are, not getting the proper rights, even the shelter, who will be responsible for them? I could remember whenever India has been projected or showcased on the international platform, the picture of the poor India, all the time the picture of the poor India has been shown to us. Why? And most of the females, most of the children who are, shelterless, who are homeless, even they are hungry. And these type of picture has been shown on the international platform in respect of India. I think that this is the right time when all the young stakeholders, as I came to know that number of papers has been presented in this seminar. So I think all of you young students, this is your responsibility, that you have to raise your voice and you have to collect the data and you have to send this data to the concerned authorities. And you are very fortunate that your mentor, like Madam Alka Madam, Dr. Anita, Dr. Sairam Bhatt. So all the mentors or the guides are with you. So I think that Dr. Anita, this is really something very, required point which has to be taken care. And this should not be only in terms of Delhi. I think if we will see in Jaipur, as I belongs to Jaipur, in Rajasthan, you will see there this problem is something which is very in very bad phase. I can see, I can show you some, kachi bastis. There, although government has provided some very unique projects to the economic weaker sections, but whether they are getting all the these facilities from the government, who is the monitoring on this? So I'm very sure, Dr. Anita, the students has presented these papers, and very soon you will compile all these papers with a very good, output, and then you can send this. So thank you so much, Dr. Anita, for calling me. And one thing which is, again, I would request to Professor 𝐿𝐴 and Professor Sairam, but that it should not be stopped in on this one platform. You must spread out this thing, because it's a awareness session. And who will be aware? We have to make the aware to the people, because we all are law persons. So we can at least give some remarkable points to be considered by the authorities. So this is my humble request to one and all who are present here and the authorities, that we have to raise this point, and definitely we should, come on very successful result. So again, congratulations, Dr. Anita, and thank you so much for arranging this webinar. And I must congratulate to one and all participants who has presented their papers. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you, Dr. Anita.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Indeed, everybody is now realizing the need of putting these issues on international level grounds as well. And this is something wherein people from this marginal backgrounds are not losing on their economic and social rights, but perhaps the legal rights. And this is also one of the wing of this research project, wherein under the guidance of Professor Sairam sir and Anita ma'am, that we are also looking at the aspect that even though binded by so many international treaties, we as a developing country are not able to fulfill on those grounds. And thank you so much, ma'am. We could more work on this area, and that would be something we can promise that we will be bringing something productive on board rather than keeping it on papers. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Moving ahead, we can see that the chief guest of the day, Dr. Shri Krishna Deva Rao sir, has joined. So perhaps I would again request Professor Dr. 𝐿𝐴 Chawla ma'am to introduce the chief guest of today's session.
Is there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But probably I can't see him. So it's time to welcome our chief guest, Professor Sri Krishna Deva Rao, Vice Chancellor, National Law University, Delhi, Chairperson of the Committee for Reforms in Criminal Law, constituted by the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, to recommend reforms in India's criminal laws in a principled, effective, and an efficient manner. He's an eminent teacher and a scholar in criminal law who's amidst us. Yes, now I can see him. Thank you for coming, Professor Rao, to the valedictory ceremony of our Campus Law Center in collaboration with the NLSIU Bangalore. Professor Rao, as you all know, he's an institution builder and has made significant contributions to the growth and expansion of multiple nascent institutions in India. He has been instrumental in developing and institutionalizing legal aid and legal empowerment in India. So that is why we thought of having him as the chief guest for the valedictory session. He has been actively engaged in human rights teaching and research, and he was sponsored by the National Human Rights Commission in 1994 to participate in human rights course in International Institute of Human Rights, Strasbourg, France, and later also interned with the International Committee of Red Cross, Geneva. Professor Rao, we can't stop with the introduction here. He has been a Fulbright scholar, has been a visiting fellow at the Institute of Washington and School of Oriental and African Studies. He was a Ford Foundation Fellow at the Center for Culture, Media and Governance, Jamia Millia Islamia. He's a recipient of Kumarappa Reckless, the highest award of the India Society of Criminology, for his contribution to teaching, research, and administration in criminal justice education, and has also received the Dr. B.S. Haikarwal and Professor Sushil Chandra Award from ISC. His areas of specialization are criminal law, juvenile justice, human rights, and clinical legal education. In his over 3-decade academic career, he has taught in NLU Delhi, NLU Odisha, GNLU, NLSIU, Nalsar, and University of Delhi also. So you can imagine his students are spread all over the country. And he is also present all over the country. It's like an eminent teacher present is omnipresent in all the legal law schools. Professor Rao is also a standing committee member of the Legal Education Committee of the Bar Council of India. He was previously a member of the UGC Expert Committee in law to transform legal education in India. He was also a member of the Ministry of Law and Justice Committee for implementing judicial impact assessment in India. A very, very warm welcome to you, sir. We have been waiting to listen to your address. Welcome. And one thing more, I had, very personal kind of interaction with him when my daughter was studying in NLU Delhi, and I always found that he was always present there for the students. So being a human, a good teacher, a good guardian is something more than any of the committees or the awards that you may have received. Thank you for coming to our college. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor 𝐜𝐞𝐫𝐲, Professor Sairam, Vijay, Lakshmi, Anita, and friends. My apologies. Today was a difficult day, attending so many things. So I came to Indian Law Institute, borrowed the space, and joining. Be that as it may, I congratulate the Campus Law Center, the SERA, National Law School, Bangalore, for organizing this national seminar on affordable shelters for women and children in Delhi under the auspices of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Let me share 3 thoughts and ideas on this occasion. Firstly, about reconstruction of life. Second, which always I passionately argue that unlike citizens in India, children have special rights, not just only the constitutionally guaranteed right, but also they have special rights. And thirdly, I'll try to discuss about the children, natural calamities, pandemic, and reconstruction of life. So I'll try to briefly elaborate these themes, the 3 themes today with you. The reconstruction of life of a child will give us a glimpse of the picture of agonizing, invisible stories of millions of children who were deprived of their life, liberty, dignity, freedom, and innocence. Let me start with what is this reconstruction of life? The term reconstruction defines the damaged, strained, and harmful experiences of children and building back better life. That's a challenge. How do we reconstruct the life of the children, which is normal, developmental, and protective? These interventions may have a varying degrees depending upon the strain, trauma, and pain and sufferings that the children have undergone. All of you are aware, as the students of law, the adoption of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child in 1989 by the United Nations General Assembly and Indian government's accession to UNCRC in 1992 demonstrated its commitment to the issue of child rights and its willingness to respond to the international obligations in working towards the best interests of the children. In fact, the UN Convention on Rights of the Child may be perhaps the first convention where governments all over the world were ready to sign unanimously, except a few countries. The largest convention signed is UNCRC. So UNCRC, the important aspect is the development of the concept of best interest of the children. I think the reconstruction of the life should borrow the best interests of the children from the UN, and also we have several other Indian examples coupled with that. As I said, Child Rights Convention, Juvenile Justice Act, along with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, particularly Goal 16.2, aims for protection and development of children. And I would just look at, there are different kinds of issues which come in the context of children. It may be the physical violence, sexual violence, condition of neglect children, psychosocial abuse and sexual exploitation, social exploitation. So there are different facets of protection of children which form the right basic premise of the juvenile justice system in India. And children are the most vulnerable victims of many circumstances, and they were caught up in the web of the juvenile justice system. As we all know, two categories of children with the Juvenile Justice Act tries to explain and provide the safeguards. One is the children in conflict with law or children in need of care and protection. And we have seen when it comes to the protection homes, some of the cases which have come in Muzaffarpur, Bihar 3 years ago, and other cases, but there is a situation is really improving after some of these incidents. The culture of silence surrounding these incidents, particularly in the depriving the children's rights, the problem is some of them are unreported, invisible, and beyond the gauge of public eye, because that is where the law students community have to provide and protect the children's rights. This is true in some of these, not only formal, informal institutions, observation homes, special homes, aftercare homes, including our own homes, neighbors' homes, schools, railway platforms, refugee camps, and several other juvenile justice institutions. Sometimes the caregivers, parents, teachers, neighbors all become perpetrators in this sordid story of the violence against children. Second issue I would like to look at is the children have special rights. The children have been guaranteed with special rights under the Indian Constitution, such as right to life and personal liberty and Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, right to free and compulsory education and Article 21A, right against exploitation and Article 23, and child rights laws and policies also have not only the Juvenile Justice Act, very comprehensive law, Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 2016, Child Marriage Prohibition Act, POCSO Act 2012, all have been shaped by the foundational principles and values of the Indian Constitution and several judgments of the Indian Supreme Court, as well as international human rights and child rights jurisprudence. But there are two important principles of children. The UNCRC mentions about best interests of the child and child-friendly. These are very important, which played a very vital role in the reconstruction of life of children. The term child-friendly has been defined in the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2015 to mean any behavior, conduct, practice, process, attitude, environment, or treatment that is humane, considerate, and in the best interest of the child. In spite of all these best efforts, we have about 1.5 million children below the age of 18 are forced to get married and end their childhood. I'm glad that the Government of India, Ministry of Women and Child Development, has increased the age of the marriage from 18 to 21, but we have to see whether it will prevent this child marriage and other. We all have to educate. This is where the massive education is required, particularly law colleges have to play a very vital role in this. When we look at the philosophy of juvenile justice law, it attempts to adopt a multidisciplinary approach that is manifest in the composition of the Juvenile Justice Board, where we have one magistrate and two social workers. The functioning of the juvenile justice system also depends on inter-cooperation and collaboration among different functionaries, beginning with judges, police, probation officer, lawyer, counselor, social worker, psychologist, psychiatrist, and all those who are concerned to ensure justice to the children. Justice to the children approach is to ensure that the children are better served and protected by the justice system at the various levels. We could see whether it was strongly advocated by the Supreme Court of India from Sheila Barse in 1997 to Sampurna Behera in 2008, and you can add several other important landmark cases which the Indian Supreme Court has tried to interpret child rights in the best interest of the children. Let me come to the last part, is how in the reconstruction of life, particularly the children and natural calamities, particularly pandemic, has really impacted the children's life. We know the education and the number of the neglected children, particularly those who have been school dropouts, majority have increased. The major impact of this 2 years pandemic COVID, which we are recovering, is a major impact on the schools, and particularly primary education has worstly affected. During Odisha super cyclone, tsunami in Tamil Nadu, earthquake in Gujarat, lots of children lost their parents. Similarly, the COVID pandemic has greater impact on children's life, not only in India, but also globally. Children lost their parents and became orphans. Such children witness lots of suffering of their parents and witness their death, but having no opportunities to perform even rituals and ventilate their feelings. Such children are not only underwent trauma, but also have been living with mental health issues such as anxiety disorder, developmental barriers, sleeplessness, without coping mechanism, and they were landed in most of the residential care institutions, are living at the mercy of their relatives. Governments have announced financial relief, and there are no mechanisms to ensure the developmental needs. Further, there are cases in which parents of the children were economically well, having movable and immovable assets, but in addition to it, they were employed. Their service benefits, we have seen the PF, gratuity, similar benefits like bank deposits, including pensionary benefits of the deceased, the children are still has to be provided. Hence, the reconstruction of life in respect of such people involves the following 4 aspects. First, assessment and developing case profiles, including securing of the documents such as several death certificates, legal heir certificates, and the profile would have provided the information on the family background, assets of the parent, and several other issues, including assessing the risk factor. Second issue is access to justice. Legal aid approach to the court of law to secure some of these, those who have in the part of the COVID and other pandemic, they have lost. So that details have to be seriously worked out, and to ensure that the provisions of the Guardianship Act has been clearly provided. The term custody is not defined in any Indian family law. The term guardian is defined by the Guardians and Wards Act 1890 as a person having the care of the person of a minor or his property, or both his person and property. Another term used by law is a natural guardian. Be that as it may, but these are all some of the issues which have come during the pandemic, and the courts and the legal service authorities and others were able to provide some of the help to the people, those who are at the risk. Third issue is the extension of mental health support by professionally trained persons and ensuring the developmental needs through counseling, behavior management therapy, coping strategies to follow. Particularly, social work bases its methodology on a systemic body of evidence-based knowledge derived from the research and practice evaluation, including local and indigenous knowledge specific to its context. And there are several complexities of interaction between human beings and their environment, and the capacity of the people both to be affected and to alter the multiple influences upon them, including psychosocial factors. The social work profession draws the theories of human development, social theory, social systems to analyze the complex situations and facilitate individual, organizational, social, and cultural change. And here we need to see how the principles of human rights and social justice, fundamental to the social work, would help in reconstructing the life. The fourth aspect in this is developing mentorship program, that something like a person who may be close to family, friend, or interested relatives, and the same time follow up and report. The mentorship program is very important. It can be used as a person's frequent contact with the person in need of assistance and support, and empowering them to enhance their coping skills. Such persons may be college students, social workers, friends, and several other persons. Let me conclude with this. The creation and nurturing of safe environment and ambience of progress development of young children is a real necessity. And the reconstruction of life, particularly the shelter homes, is one aspect, but I try to cover several other surrounding issues which are related to the overall development of the children, particular emphasis in the pandemic. I think we are slowly recovering from this. This reconstruction of life, this is a very laudable object that needs cooperation from all of us. We all have to unitedly carry forward the mission of justice to children, particularly in the context of reconstructing life, to provide care, protection, compassion, affection, and love. Let me conclude in the memorable words of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who said, "Children are like birds in the garden and should be carefully and lovingly nurtured, as they are the future of the nation and the citizens of today and tomorrow." I thank CLC, Professor 𝐿𝐾𝐲𝐿, Sairam from CIRA NLS Bangalore, for giving me this opportunity to share few thoughts and ideas with you on this valedictory session. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, your presence in today's valedictory ceremony reminds me the words of great legal luminary Nani Palkhiwala ji, when he said that leaders help people to believe in themselves and in the possibilities of the future. How beautifully and in a well-organized manner you informed us about the various legal statutes which help in the eradication of various problems related to children. Perhaps in the latest scenario also, the children are facing so many issues, while women have not been a part where they have been given that kind of respect in the society. Perhaps the pandemic has taken the country a long back. But I believe that this research project, wherein we are also looking at the loopholes, how the pandemic has affected the homelessness in various cities of India, and how these can be solved. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Now, I again request Anita ma'am to please introduce us for the next speaker of this session, Professor Dr. Sairam Bhatt.
Thank you, Mayank. So it's again my privilege to welcome my mentor, Professor Dr. Sairam Bhatsar. So sir is professor at National Law School, Bangalore, and also coordinator of CIRA. So sir, with these few words, I welcome you to this validity session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anita. Respected Professor Rao, thank you, sir, so much for accepting our invitation. Thank you to Professor Vijay Lakshmi Sharma. Thank you also to Professor 𝐿𝐾𝐲𝐿. Thanks to Anita for not only taking this project, but also organizing this national seminar. Thanks to all the team members, because the validity session is more on the thank-giving part. And thanks to all the participants, because I think you have shown quite an interest in a human rights subject. Many of us want to show interest in corporate law, in investment law, in arbitration law, but I think on a national seminar such as this, where we are talking about affordable shelter as a human right, I think all the participants deserve a round of applause for showing interest, undergoing the research, making the presentation, and actually showing sensitivity to the needs of the vulnerable group in our society. Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to say a few things at this point of time. I think, the government is looking for policy recommendations, and I think we should make efforts not only to read the law, but also to look at policy, formulation and support the government in its initiative to achieve the goal on affordable housing. So I would request the participants to kindly put forward your recommendations, send it to Professor Anita Yadav, and these are the policy recommendations that we will be submitting to the Ministry of Housing under the project and chair activity. And hence, let me assure you that all the efforts that have been put today is going to be put forward before the government, and the government may probably consider some of the recommendations, or at least consider them for a future intervention in this particular matter. There are two things that I would just like to say. Because we have been doing the chair activity for quite some time, I have to narrate two stories in which we provided legal aid and how we were actually touched by the challenges of affordable housing. Friends, slum dwellers face huge challenges in India. Sometimes they have organized housing in slums. Many a times they may not have. There are a lot of people on the streets today who do not have even that kind of shelter. They sleep on the pavements. Very often than not, you'll see them sleeping below a flyover. So we found a very interesting case of a 16-year-old girl who was selling balloons. She was staying below the flyovers, but she did not have her parents. She had actually migrated from the villages with her uncle and aunt. She was below this flyover, and unfortunately the police come one day morning and asked them to clear their place below the flyover. Interestingly, when she was approached through the legal aid committee, we found many challenges that young girls face. And let me tell you, the challenge was, and very interestingly she narrated this, she said, "Sir, हमको बोलते कोई और सीजन में तो हम चले जाते, ये जो सीजन है वो बारिश का सीजन है, तो हम ये जो फ्लाईओवर के नीचे हैं बारिश में हम काफी कंफर्टेबल और सिक्योर रखते हैं, बट ये सीजन के बाद हमको जाने के लिए बोलते तो हम फिर भी चले जाते." The story that I'm just narrating, friends, is so touching. It's so important about the kind of sensitivity. I agree that you will call them probably illegal occupants of public property. Yes, these are migrant workers. They should have stayed in their own villages. They should not have come to the cities. All of these are arguments on one side, but the other argument I think is very, very important. That I think when we talk about shelter and housing, it's very, very core and important that every citizen gets a basic right to this shelter and housing. And I believe shelter has an important and a critical component to privacy. I think this is something that we can't forget at any given point of time for especially women and children. And I think, while we talk about privacy of Facebook and Google, yes, the digital world can talk about privacy quite a bit. But in the physical world, tangibly, I think privacy is a major issue and a major concern. And I think we must work towards the same. While the police have every right to ask you to move, the time in which they would ask you to move and the sensitivity in which that is to be undertaken, I think what we did was, ladies and gentlemen, we actually made a petition to the National Human Rights Commission. Now, why I'm saying the National Human Rights Commission is again of the fact that it is easy to approach to the courts, but I think there are other agencies that can be also effective in trying to ensure some of the intervention that happens on a more democratic way, in a more sensitive way, in not only saying that, yes, the rights of the government prevail, but I think the rights of these communities have to be worked towards. And I think there are enough machineries in the government that can actually move these people in a more dignified manner, in a more consensual manner, and I think in a more appropriate season that we can actually undertake the same. I think this is a story that I thought I should share with you, because I think while we have spoken about law in abstract, when it comes to law in action, I think there are numerous things that one can actually read, one can actually practice. And I think our legal aid clinics have a greater role to play. I think it's very important that we must channelize students' energies and enthusiasm in helping the needies and the communities that actually deserve this kind of a legal aid. And I think the government has a responsibility and an obligation that they have to fulfill. And let me tell you, the obligation is you ought to respect even the rights of these payment dwellers. It's an obligation. And I think that obligation of respect is something that is inherent in our democratic society. And I think every organ of the administration must afford that kind of an obligation of respect. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us and making this project successful through this national seminar. I cannot have enough words to thank Anita for the initiative and enthusiasm that she has undertaken in this project. And I hope that something concrete will definitely come out, and we will add to some kind of a policy recommendation that the government is seeking for. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I still remember the first meeting wherein you mostly emphasized on the productive part of the research. And you told us that something intellect should come out of the research work, wherein we would be actually looking for results on grounds, not on papers. And I believe the team has really working hard on it, and we would be able to fulfill your commitments. Thank you so much, sir. Perhaps now we come to the most awaited part of the valedictory ceremony, wherein we would be declaring the results. Now I take this opportunity to please welcome Professor Dr. Alka Chawla, ma'am. Ma'am, may we have you to declare the results of today's paper presentation competition?
Thank you, Mayank. So this good duty has been given to me. I wish it was done physically, where Professor Sairam, Professor Vijay Lakshmi, Professor Rao, they've all, would have given their blessings to the paper presenters and would have also handed over the prizes to them. But let me tell you, this, after tabulating all the scores received from our 6 judges, I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to give the names of the judges or not. So I will give it in a hidden manner. So you keep judging, guessing who they are. One, Dr. Asha from Rajasthan, Mr. George from Pune, Dr. Nitesh from Russia, Mr. Amit from Jaipur, Dr. Harish from NCR Delhi, Mr. Aditya, advocate from Supreme Court of India. These are the people who are the judges, and I'm delighted to announce the prizes for paper presentations for this virtual national seminar on affordable shelter for women and children. All the participants will get the e-certificates. So now coming to the 3rd position first. It is the amount may be very meager, but the value behind it is something which we cannot weigh. So the 3rd prize, worth rupees 1,500, goes to Dr. Gaurav Kashinath Jadhav and Dr. Tanya P. Kamalkar of 𝐾𝐿E College of Law, Navi Mumbai. I do not know, Madhav, if you have the system of showing their faces, at least to us.
We request the winners to please sit on their cameras.
The title of the paper was Safeguarding the Housing of Homeless Women Through Legal Alleviation, a Constitutional Approach. Yes, so here, who's... So
Hello.
Yes, this is Tanya. Yes,
Yeah.
you're very much visible.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So Dr. Gaurav is also there.
Yes, yes.
Dr. Gaurav, yes, great. So these are the 2 great scholars who got 3rd prize. So let's
Thank
come
you so
to
much.
congratulations to both of you. So now coming to the 2nd position. Where is it? Yes. 2nd position, the prize is worth rupees 2,500. It's awarded to Ms. Aishwarya Suresh and Mr. Mahesh Singh of Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia College, Bengaluru. The title of the paper is A Study on Exploitation of Helpless Migrant Workers and Their Rights. So can we have these 2 participants, paper presenters also?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
There has to be one more person, Mr. Mahesh. So when I announce the first prize, the participant should be ready for switching on the camera and quickly coming on the screen. So we have only Aishwarya. Suresh, Mr. Mahesh Singh is not showing his face.
Sorry
Oh,
for the
there he
delay,
is.
ma'am. I had some kind of like power interruption, so I just lost my connection.
No, we are not sorry. It's rather, it's nice to wait for the celebrities to be on the screen, and especially those who got the prizes. So congratulations to you, Mahesh. Congratulations, Aishwarya. So now coming to the first prize, first position, and this is for rupees 3,000 is the cash prize. The title of the paper is Impact of COVID-19 on the Street Women and Children. So who has written this? Please show your face.
That's me, ma'am, Dr. Misha, I believe.
Yes, that is right. So
Thank you, ma'am.
So we have Dr. Misha here. She's from IILM University, Gurugram. And
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to you, and congratulations to all the participants for making this a successful workshop.
Congratulations to all the winners, ma'am.
So Anita, you can tell them how will they receive their e-certificates?
Ma'am will
So
send.
you can all, at least the participants, please use your imagination that the three great stalwarts sitting here are giving you the prizes. So we can at least give an applaud to you. Great. Yes, Anita.
Over to you, Menk.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Alka Chawla, ma'am. He always reminds us, whenever I was reading a book by author E.R. Braithwaite, in which he says that the teacher, as in, they try to give them affection, confidence, and guidance, more or less in that order, because experience has shown that the students are, these are the things in which are the most important needs of a student. And perhaps at CLC, we are getting these things in abundance apart from the legal knowledge. Thank you so much, ma'am, for always being there and guiding us and accommodating us and accepting our request. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, moving on to the last leg of the session, I would again request Dr. Anita Yadav, ma'am, to please present vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. So with this, we have come to end of the session, and it's my honor to propose a vote of thanks for this validatory session of this seminar. But before I officially conclude today's highly successful seminar, I would be amiss in my duties if I do not acknowledge the invaluable contribution of certain stakeholders without whose guidance and assistance this would have not been possible to conduct this seminar. So firstly, let me start by thanking to our chief guest and guest of honor for today's inaugural as well as validatory ceremony. Mr. Bharat Parashar, Member Secretary, Delhi State Legal Service Authority, Mr. 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐲𝐲, Director of the National Institute of Urban Affairs, Delhi, Dr. Sri Krishna Deva Rao, Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor and Professor of Law, National Law University, Delhi, Professor Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Sharma, ma'am, Director and Professor of Law, Faculty of Law, Manipal University, Jaipur. We thank you for taking out time from your hectic schedule and gracing our seminar. I'm sure all the attendees must have gained immensely from your wisdom, knowledge, and experience. I also would like to thank the Chair on Urban Poor and Law, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, under whose aegis this seminar has been possible in the first place. Secondly, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our beloved Professor in charge, Professor Dr. Alka Chawla, ma'am, for her invaluable support and guidance. Ma'am has been extremely pivotal in helping our team from Campus Law Center for successfully undertaking this project and executing a various aspects of the same. Thank you, ma'am, for your unwavering guidance, mentorship, and support have boosted our team morale, and we are privileged to have you as our professor in charge. Next, I would like to thank the one person without whose support this seminar never have been seen the light of the day. My mentor, Professor Dr. Sairam Bhatsar, Professor of Law, National Law School of India University. Sir has been central in steering this seminar right from its inception. Sir, I thank you for reposing your faith and trust in Campus Law Center and in my team. Thank you for guiding us throughout this seminar. I also would like to thank your sir team, which consists Ms. Madhumanti Sandhya, Mr. Rohit Kamath, Ms. Gayatri Girish, Mr. 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐿𝐴. Vikas has been with us since morning, Ms. Anuja Shah, and Ms. Lian D'Souza. I also would like to thank our judges for today's seminar for judging our paper presentation, Dr. Asha Rawat ma'am, Assistant Professor, Banasthali Vidyapeeth, Rajasthan, Mr. Amit Yadav, Assistant Professor, Senior Scale, Manipal University, Jaipur, Mr. Aditya Mishra, Advocate, Supreme Court of India, and also a founder and managing trustee of Law Mantra Trust, Mr. Arjun Philip George, Assistant Professor of Christ deemed to be University, Lavasa, Pune, Dr. Nitish Kumar Upadhyay, Associate Professor from Galgotia University, Dr. Harish Kumar Tiwari, Assistant Professor, School of Law, Christ University, Delhi campus, NCR, for taking out their schedule time out of their busy schedule and judging all the paper presentation. I would like to thank to all the participants and attendees of today's seminar. Your enthusiastic participation is what made this seminar a resounding success. It was your highly research work which has been developed the constructive dialogue around this burning issue of the affordable shelter. So thank you very much. And finally, I would like to thank my excellent team of the students from Campus Law Center, comprising Shivam Raj, Bhuvan Raj Seth, Mayank Gupta, Madhav Goyal, Bhavna Yadav, Shweta Khushi, Tanya Bhutani, Ayush Rai, Shifali Verma, Vanshika Mittal, Ishan Nakra, 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐤, Radhika Badri, and Nandini Gupta, without whose untiring dedication and hard work, this seminar would have not been possible. So thank you, my dear team from Campus Law Center. I also take this opportunity to thank my colleague, Mr. Jai Prakash Meena sir, for all that technical support. With this, I conclude my duties today. Thank you all for attending this today's proceeding, and we hope to see you all again in near future. Thank you so much.
On my behalf, let me thank my colleague 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐲. He has been a key instrument in forging the partnership between both the institutions and has laid the foundation for the seminar. Vikas, thank you so much. Wholeheartedly, well done. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. So we are ending the session now. Thank you.